everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So today I'm going to talk to you about the books I read in October. October is always the month that I really focus on reading my thrillers and kind of my creepy books, and I'm really just looking to just scare the crap out of myself. And I have, a ton of creepy books that I read. Did I really accomplish my goal of totally scaring the crap out of myself? No, I got kind of close, but not quite what I was hoping for. But it is what it is. So let's just kick it off. First one I read, not first one, this is the last one that I actually just finished, is The Witches of Moonshine Manor by Bianca Maris. I say that name wrong every time. So we have 5 witches who are all in their 80s, and they live at Moonshine Manor, and they have been together for years and years. And the manor kind of brought them all together, which I love that the manor itself is almost its own character. And so they're trying their hardest to get themselves out of a little bit of a pickle. Their house is being foreclosed upon. And the people in the town, there's a group of them that are just like want these ladies out because they want to build this whole brand new development. They team up with a 15-year-old girl. I think she's 15, Persephone. She is feisty, she is fierce, she is fantastic. And she kind of brings in a bit of a modern approach to dealing with this issue that they're dealing with. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I laughed so many times. And then 2 sentences later is like a quote that is just one of those that you should probably hang up on a wall. So the writing in here is fantastic. There are definitely some themes to this book that probably aren't going to be everyone's cup of tea. There are definitely feminist themes in this book. The witches type of a theme, you have to be prepared for some magic that's going to happen. Not always for everybody, but I thought it was so great to read in October and right before Halloween. It was just the perfect combination for me. So I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I'm sure I gave it 5 stars. Another book I picked up in October is The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart. She is a co-host on the podcast Morbid. I almost called it a show. But it's a fantastic podcast that follows true crime. They have so many episodes. I'm trying to catch up, but I love it. I just love how they present the information. I am obsessed. So when I heard that she wrote a book, had to get it right away. It's her debut novel, and I thought it was done really, really well. It is a debut novel. It is not perfect, which is fine. But this follows a serial killer and then medical examiner, forensic pathologist, and how she approaches the case and goes through it. So you're in the head of the serial killer, and then you have this other aspect of it, of her trying to find it. I thought it was fantastic. Awesome book, highly recommend, and I don't think it's being talked enough, but go get it. The next one I want to talk about is The Woods Are Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins. I loved this book. This one was the one that kind of creeped me out. So we have 2 best friends, and they just graduated high school. They're going into college. They kind of have one final adventure together before one of them moves basically across the country. So they decide to go hiking in a national forest by where they live. They've never been hiking before. Tensions kind of rise between them, and then things happen. They walk into a nightmare, basically. So this one did give me creepy vibes. I really loved it. It was a really quick read. I couldn't put it down. I read this during a soccer tournament, like in between games. I literally was sitting there outside like, okay, yeah, you all go do stuff. I'm just going to read my book because it was so good. So I would definitely recommend this. I want to say I gave it about 4 stars. Another book that I actually listened to is I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This one follows the Golden State Killer case and goes into details as far as what Michelle did in the research to figure out who the Golden State Killer was. Very detailed. I am glad I listened to this book. It was a little bit dry. This one also gave me the heebie-jeebies because I would usually listen to it while I'm walking the dog, usually at night around my neighborhood when it's dark, and it talks about how this guy was kind of hiding in plain sight. He would use the dark to help cover him as he would watch and spy on people. So a little creepy. But again, a little slow, interesting for sure. This is for my book club and we'll be talking about it in November. I'll be curious to see who did get through it because it was a bit long. Again, interesting though. I want to say I gave it 3 stars. I also participated in Krista and Amy's readathon that they hosted in October. It was a book of the month catch-up-a-thon, and I got through 3 books in that 2-week time period. I did stick with my creepy vibe. I can't recall. I think this is my bun. This might be my meat and my ketchup. I think that's all that I got on my actual burger that I built. It was a really cute readathon. I really hope they do it again because it was fun picking out the books for that. So I did get through these. I finally picked up Riley Sager's Last Time I Lied. Took me long enough, right? And I loved it. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. So we have dual timelines. We have our main character, what is her name, Emma. So we find out in the past that she had attended Camp Nightingale and she roomed with these 3 other girls who were older than her. And one night these 3 girls went missing. She's then invited back to Camp Nightingale after we learn that she's had a really hard time with what happened to these girls. And she comes back there hoping to kind of figure out some answers. And it seems like things are repeating themselves again. So again, I really enjoyed it. Riley Sager's, he's just so good. So I got to catch up on the rest of his books, but I have 2 more, his 2 newest ones I haven't read yet. But yeah, I'm glad I went back and read this one off of my backlist because I've had it for a while, but fantastic, 5 stars. I also read Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Malloy. This one is pretty short. Like I got through this one pretty quick. But we have newlyweds. We have Sam and Annie. They are head over heels in love. They move from New York City to a small town in upstate New York. It doesn't say specifically, where Annie's basically staying at home while Sam is working as a psychotherapist. He has his practice in their house and it is discovered that he can be heard with his patients. And we go from there. And the catch though is that Sam ends up going missing. And they can't find him, trying to figure out what happened. Is it a patient that happened to it? Did he just leave? Where did that go? I did enjoy this. I went through this one pretty quick as well, and I gave it 4 stars. So the last book I want to talk about is The Last Flight by Julie Clark. And I've tried to talk about this book, I don't even know how many times now, but I keep spoiling it. So I don't want to do that. All I want to say is I enjoyed this book way more than I expected to. We have 2 women, 2 flights, and 1 last chance to disappear. So there's a chance meeting at an airport, brings these 2 women together who seem equally desperate to flee their lives. They make a last minute decision to switch tickets, and it goes from there. So good. So good. Really enjoyed it. Very suspenseful, I would say. So I enjoyed it. 5 stars. The other book that I read this month, I almost forgot because I've already loaned it to a friend, is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Again, 5 stars. Loved this book. It is a kind of And Then There Were None retelling by Agatha Christie, that one. So you have a number of family members who are together at this house on an island that you can only get there when it's low tide. Once it's high tide, you're stuck on the island. So they're stuck there as deaths start to occur, and it was so fantastic. I loved it. I gave that one 5 stars. What else? I'm currently listening to Julia Whalen's Thanks for Listening book, which is fine. It's a little rom-com that I started a long time ago and I'm just kind of trying to get through. So that's what I'm currently listening to, and I'm beyond excited to begin Historathon 3.0 for the month of November. I'm all about the historical fictions. I'm definitely, after reading this many kind of thriller, suspenseful type books, I'm ready to go in a different direction. So I'll be picking up as many historical fiction books as I possibly can. And then Max and I have been also continuing to read. So we've been reading these Where Is series of books. And so we read about the Bermuda Triangle and Area 51. And we are currently reading about Alcatraz as we get all geared up to read our next book, which is going to be Al Capone Does My Shirts. So this takes place at Alcatraz, and right now we're learning about it. I already had a whole chapter about how Al Capone was there and how the island ran. So I think it'll be interesting to then go into a fictional book that takes place in the area that we just read about. So that's kind of where I've been. I know I have some 5-star predictions to get through the next month too. We'll see which ones I pick up next. I do have Historathon TBR out there. I'm hoping to stick through it, but I found some really good books that I'm interested in too, so I may switch it up a little bit. You know me, I don't always stick to my TBRs, which is fine. Let me know if you've read any really good creepy books this month, what you've read, what you thought of them. Leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.